She is the voice of WNYC Studios. She's also won a Moth Story Slam. Please welcome Jolenta Greenberg.
I like to think of myself as like a very strong, independent woman. And I've been known to say I'm like a feminist Lorax. Like, that's how I describe my brand of comedy, you know? And so I say that so much that my husband was like, write it in verse. Write something in verse if you're the Lorax. So I did. So this is it. I am the uppity bitch, and I speak for your pussy. Now, it doesn't matter if it's bald or if it's bushy, because all pussies should feel safe. And they can always say no, even if it's your date or a friend that's trying to have a go. So, let's all get menstrual cups and IUDs and let our pussies roam free. Thank you. So before I was the dazzling solo performer you see, I was spreading my agenda in a different way by educating the youth of Manhattan at a bougie theater company in Chelsea. And when you teach children at a bougie theater company in Chelsea, like, the quality of child you meet is insane. They are unlike anything you've ever encountered. The first type of kid you meet is the child of a celebrity. This is the child of, a major sports team owner, an Academy Award-winning filmmaker, a politician. And they're hard to relate to, these kids, because their frame of reference is so far beyond yours. You're dealing with 5-year-olds who are like, I'm sick of St. Bart's, Or like, and then they'll be like, and we're taking the small jet. Like, it's hard to relate to these kids. The next type of kid you'll find is the uptown kid. And like myself, these kids visually read as Jewish, even if they aren't. Like, that's just what they are. Like, they all have, like, almost see-through skin and, like, severe tree nut allergies. And, like, in their spare time, they enjoy stressing about college, even though they're 6. Like, and then the last type of kid you meet is the Park Slope kid. They aren't always from Park Slope, sometimes Lower East Side, give or take. But, they're the type of kid that, like, they base the clothes they wear on, like, the phase the moon is in that day. And, like, they're learning math, but through knitting. It's a beautiful thing. And then you put these 3 types of kids together, and you force them to get along, and you force them to make a play that their successful rich parents are impressed by. You do all these things, and then you've entered the circle of hell that I call children's theater. But if children's theater is hell, then I am clearly the devil, because I can work magic with these little fuckers. Like, and the reason I'm so good at dealing with all of these insane children is because I was just nothing like them as a kid. I was not outspoken. I wasn't rich. I was definitely not gluten-free. I was a shy, timid girl growing up in the forests of Oregon. And in fact, I was so timid and shy that I hated telling people my name, because my name is Jolenta. It is a weird name, and you are guaranteed when you say what your name is when it's weird that people are going to want to talk. Like, who's a family name? What's that from? Like polenta, So when you're a kid with, like, just crippling social anxiety, you do what I did, and you just start telling people your name is Laura. Like, that's how shy I was. I told strangers my name was Laura so I just wouldn't have to talk anymore. Like, no one questions Laura. No one's like, ooh, where's that from? They're just like, yes, okay. So anyway, where was I? Oh, so I'm like the brat whisperer, because these kids are, like, so foreign to me, I can just, like, piece them together like a puzzle and step back. And, like, it's amazing. And I could handle anything those weirdos threw at me. Until I met little Millie. So, it's a beautiful sunny Saturday morning. I'm starting a new semester. All my little kids are coming in on the first day, and in walks this little girl, Millie. Hold on. The mic stand keeps dropping, and I'm tall. Here we go. So Millie walks in, and she's holding hands with a man who looks like her, but much older. And I realize that's a blood relative. Because if you teach in Manhattan, you don't see any of those dropping children off. It is always a housekeeper, nanny, driver, everything. I had a kid who had her own driver. It wasn't like the family's driver. Like her mom and brother had different separate drivers. Like no one's family brings them. So I'm like, what is with this kid? Like she must be special. She has a blood relative dropping her off. Turns out it's her grandpa. And little Millie is commuting into the city every Saturday from New Jersey just to take my class. And not like Jersey City, like deep Jersey. So my heart is just overjoyed that this somewhat normal seeming kid is in my room. So I bend down and I'm like, what's your name? And she looks up at me and her little eyes get all big and her little face turns all red and she just starts to tremble and she just bursts into tears. And she starts crying, and her grandpa just shoves her into my room and just runs away. And as he's sprinting down the hall, he's like, don't worry, she does this all the time. She's a little shy. This kid is inconsolable for the next 2 hours. Like, this is beyond shy. You know, this is some next level shit. This is some me when I was a kid shit. And then it hits me, like, this is it. This is my chance. We're going to rewrite fucking history right here in this class. Obviously, Millie was sent to me by the universe because she is me. And I am going to do everything in my power to make it so it doesn't take her like a decade to find her voice and start telling people her real name, you know? So I decide, fuck all the kids. Millie is my project. Millie is my project, and I'm going to make her into a strong, independent woman. So, from then on, every time we do a new game and Millie starts to cry, I'm like, whoa, Millie, dry those tears, buck up. Strong, independent women love trying new things. Every time we do an art project and she starts crying because she's like, I don't know where to put the glitter. I'm like, Millie, stop crying. Dry your tears, put on a smile, because strong, independent women can put glitter just wherever they want. It's great. Every time we're writing and she can't spell a word, I'm like, Millie, cool it, sound it out like a strong, independent woman. And one day, we're playing a game that we play at the beginning of every class. Like, Millie knows this game, no need to cry. But she starts crying. And like without even losing focus, I'm still instructing the kids. I don't even look at her. I'm like, Millie, whatever. Like, strong, independent women don't cry when they already know the game. But she keeps crying and crying. And she's standing right next to me. And she finally starts pulling on my sweater. And I look down, and Millie is standing there in a little puddle. Yeah, Millie Peter Pants. And like, this isn't rare. Like, this is not a rare occurrence. When you hang out with 26-year-olds just all the time, like there's always one standing in a puddle of piss. But I just look at her and her stupid little face is so sad. And all I can see when I look down at her is just little me looking back up. And instead of dealing with it like normal, which is like, whoop, accident, like deal with it, blah, 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 I do something I've never done before, and I grab my cup of water that I keep in the classroom, because you always need to stay hydrated when you are screaming at children all day long. And I just throw my cup on Millie and yell, whoops, spill my water on Millie, grab her, run her to the bathroom. No one is the wiser. Yeah, I figured the kid who can't say her name, like, shouldn't have to face her entire class knowing she peed her pants. So I take her to the bathroom, and she's crying, and she's snotting, and she's covered in urine. And as I'm putting her in the spare undies that we keep in the office, she just keeps saying, I'm sorry, I was too scared to say I had to go. And it's just like, I break. It breaks my heart. I decide in that bathroom, covered in Jilly's pee and snot, that like my mission is over. I'm not gonna make this kid into a strong, independent woman. Like, I just wanna make her feel safe and like hug her. So from then on, every time she cries, I pick her up and I hug her and I tell her it's gonna be okay and I give her special treatment, which I'm very against. But I just can't help it, and I just don't care. And I know on the last day of class that, like, I have just failed. Like, this kid is no more strong, no more independent, definitely still a little girl and not a woman. So on the last day of class, we do we call it an open rehearsal because 6-year-olds have trouble getting off book. So we have our presentation of our open rehearsal. Welcome to Manhattan theater classes. Like, we can't even call it a show because, like, what if they call line? So we're at our open rehearsal, and how we start the show is we line all the kids up on stage and have them say their names because the kids are also the playwrights, so we want them to, like, get the glory both ways. So we stand them all up in a line in the stage, and they're all saying their dumb, bougie names. Literally, one of my children was a Vanderbilt. Like, it's real. All I can do is watch Millie, and they're just getting closer and closer to her. And as we're getting closer, her face is just getting redder and redder, and she's like visibly trembling, and her eyes are like full of tears, but they haven't like spurted yet. And it gets to her, and she just freezes. The room is silent. All the kids are staring at her. All the parents are staring at her. One tear starts to trickle down her face. And then she just takes a deep breath and goes, I'm Millie. Just on to the next kid. And I was overjoyed. You guys, I did it. I did it. Technically, she did it. And technically, it was just a child saying her own name. Not, a revolution of feminism. But, Millie reminded me that strong, independent women are not made overnight. It is a long road to find your voice and become that Lorax. And, on that road, it is okay to be scared. And it's okay to cry, a lot. And, it's even okay to piss your pants a little. Thank you.
Yum's the word